Hi, my name is Christine Marie Valenti of Conversion Perspectives by Valenti Associates. And so this is an intro video where I'm going to discuss with you who I am and what I bring to the table as far as mentorship and guiding you in regards to health and nutrition, business aspects, faux finishing, cooking. So what I wish to share with you is I'm 53 years old. I have owned and built from the ground up several businesses. In my 20s, I ran a daycare company, and then in my 30s and 40s, I ran a faux finishing company. So it was called Custom Paint Finishes by Valenti Associates. And what this was is I built it from conceiving of the logo, the CP logo, paying someone in San Francisco to design my logo, and then launching the company. So about $10,000 to start with the website and launch that, and then $1,500 to design my brochures with pictures that I had from various jobs, and to design the brochures that I would go into the clientele's homes with. And then putting together my portfolio. So that was the bare bones, just getting started. You know, the website and having, the brochure and walking in with a portfolio of pictures so that I could sell myself, with the work that I did. So the portfolio, so every house I walked into, I walked out with the contract. I was booked out 6 months in advance to what I would perceive as being successful and most people being successful. My average income was $10,000 plus off of a trade that I taught myself from books and watching videos and trial and error, going to the walls, practicing, and building it up. I was well known for columns. You start out with white bare bone columns and you build it up. So I was well known for columns and custom cabinetry. I had 3 other employees, a total of 4 employees. So custom homes all over what I classify as the 680 corridor. So El Dorado, so the 680 corridor would entail going all the way down to, Fremont and all of the gated communities, Black Hawk, McGee Ranch, Ruby Hills, the Diablo Estates, the Eagle Estates, all of the Pleasant Hill, Castlewood, all of those areas down there. And then as I moved up into the Sacramento Bay Area, El Dorado Hills, Serrano, and the Folsom areas, Roseville, and I really started doing lots of cabinetry when I came up to that area, and taking the old-fashioned yellow oak cabinets and transforming. So murals, we did murals and fireplaces, ceilings. It was all over, custom murals. So I had a lot of fun. I walk in with my brochure and my portfolio, and I would walk out with the job. I was good at what I did. I was good at selling myself because I was well known for quality, integrity. And one of my clients from the area down there, he says, "Who the hell are you that I should wait 6 months for you to come and faux finish my house? Don't you know there's so many other faux finishers out there? Why do I have to wait for you?" So to get over that type of question and not be hindered by it, I felt I had great self-esteem and great confidence because I felt I was a success. And so I answered him and said, "I am well known for my quality and my integrity. I am coming to you being referred by your designer, who you trust and whom you pay to give you referrals and to, decor, as far as the decor in your home, and, I will be bringing you boards and working with your designer to give you the finish that you're requiring of me." And, I went on and showed the portfolio and showed different things and overcame his challenge and performed, did his sample boards and came and presented them to him and got an approval and had him sign off on it. And so I was very used to working in the very elite, very wealthy homes and paid very well for that. So that is where I felt the most success in my life, and my tax returns being by myself, anywhere from 200,000 to 400,000, meaning I had employees to pay, and to come from my background. So that's my success, that I come from building businesses from the ground up, daycare, custom paint finishes. Okay, now to give you a little bit of history, I come from foster homes. I was a foster home youth. And in that foster home, I went through tremendous abuse, dysfunctional. He was a deacon in the Church of Christ, but there were things that happened in that house that should never have happened as a child. And, the physical, emotional, and things that should never have happened. And I'll go into that later in more detail in a separate video discussing things like that. I came out of that at 17 years old. I had enough credits in high school where I could go to school until noon, and I worked 1 to 9 and supported myself in an apartment, and got myself out of that situation, and moved forward. At age 22, I had my daughter Madalena, and then at that point I began running a daycare company and launched that, and that's how the CP logo initiated at that point for that company. From there, I did that for many years until about 1999, and then I love color. As you can see, I just absolutely love color. And I was very creative because there was things I wanted, and I couldn't afford to have all the things that I wanted. So I fell in love with marble and granite, and I would pick up brochures from Bedrosians in different places, and I would play with them to where I could learn how to do it. And so I fooled around with the walls and started playing and having fun, and I, from there I built it into a business. I launched in 1999, I launched Custom Paint Finishes, and basically became a overnight success from friends who saw what I did and started using me and referring me to contractors, and then designers. By the time I built up my portfolio, the designers, I would walk into the showrooms and show them who I was, and then start hiring Jewel. Her name is Julie, and I call her Jewel because she was a gem. I loved having her and working with her. She made our days just exceptional. When we would walk in and on the jobs, and we're faux finishing together and working together, and she was just a gorgeous, wonderful person to be around. And the singing on the job site, it was a pleasure. That was my success. That was my escape from my home life. As I said, I came up from foster home youth. My first marriage, I was 21 years old. I had my daughter 22. I guess marriage 22, and my daughter 22. And, it was very young mom, or for me, young, coming from what I came from. I had not had any personal development or work on myself yet at that point. And it was a domestic violence marriage, and a lot of adversity, a lot of physical and emotional abuse. And it was just beaten down, walking on eggshells. And again, that will be handled in a separate video, but I want you to have a brief synopsis, a history of me, and who I am, and why is it relevant to you. There's many of you that are out there that have gone through similar things, and I hope to be, as I gain my voice, I hope to guide you through, not to make the same mistakes that I have made, to be able to guide you and to get you on the right path to begin to thrive, to heal and thrive. So first marriage was 14 years and 8 months. I had to do a grab and run out of, I've had houses since I was, my first house was when I was 26 years old. And then we kept elevating up. My last house was 3,600 square feet in Discovery Bay. And I had to do a grab and run out of that house. My first husband had pulled a knife on me, and there were many things going on, and I had to prosecute restraining order, not prosecute, but restraining order. Continued to work with him with individual counseling, marriage counseling, couples counseling, the whole gamut, okay? And then that marriage failed, and with the grab and run and leaving for safety reasons. My daughter was almost 16 years old at that point. And then continuing on in my business and being a single mom, I later remarried, my second marriage. And with that marriage, 2002, it was a dysfunctional and emotional abuse marriage. I had gone through 4 miscarriages during that time with the marriage because we were building on raw land and the work was too strenuous. Building from foundation up, and from there, I was 4 months pregnant with my son in 2005, when my husband decided that he no longer wanted to be married and left me at 4 months pregnant. It was classified as a high-risk pregnancy with the 4 miscarriages. It was kind of an emotional roller coaster, going through why, every other person can do this. I've done it before. I've had 1 successful pregnancy. Why couldn't I do this now? And had no trouble getting pregnant. I had trouble keeping the pregnancies. So those miscarriages, and then finally successful pregnancy with my son, Jonathan. So he decided he didn't want to be married anymore, and he left. At that time, the house was not completed, building the bones, it was almost done, the house that we were building on raw land. And it gets emotional, I'm sorry for this. So I was pregnant, house almost near completion. The business was still thriving at that point, and then we moved along, and so the economy decline started tanking about the time that I was getting ready to deliver my son. I still had jobs after he was born, and my first job was when he was 2 weeks old. I had to, since I was single mom and going through all of that, so it was still thriving. However, when the economy continued tanking, everything just snowballed. It was just a downward spiral. I had never dealt with all of the issues from the foster home youth, the abuse, the first marriage of domestic violence, and now the second failed marriage. And all of these things were compounding on top of each other. And with the business failure, no way for sourcing of income, going out and hustling and taking the brochure and going to all these businesses and designers and trying to find work. But see, my clientele was well-to-do, and the referrals, it was the designer who referred me in, or the contractor who referred me in. And if they weren't having any work, I wasn't having any work. So at that point, just a downward spiral, not having enough work to support my lifestyle and the home and the mortgage payments. And so at that point began the bankruptcy process. I couldn't find enough work. I couldn't support him on $8 an hour at that point, which was the minimum wage. And so everything tanked, selling all the furniture. I had a massive 90-inch screen with the projection for movies, and then the big, huge, screen TVs, and a lot of, I had a beautiful, beautiful eggplant leather sleigh bed, and a lot of things. So we began selling off the furniture and living on that for about 1.5 years, and ended up with mattresses on the floor. And at that point, I had to make a decision to do bankruptcy and surrender my home and walk away and start all over. My first time to be back in apartments since I was 20 years old. So began the process of, it's at that point, I didn't know how to begin to rebuild, what to do. And because I had never dealt with all of these issues, I had never done personal development and worked on myself, I didn't have the tool set, any tools to draw upon to rebuild. And since most of the clientele that I had been used to dealing with had they were losing their shirts in the stock market. Everything was crashing. No one was spending money. They didn't know, what was happening at that point or the duration of it. So it was a trickle-down effect. So I ended up, I'll tell you how low I went. For me, we always thought of, people on welfare and people in Section 8 as taboo, okay? That's just, that's the other people. That's, people that don't want to work for a living. They're lazy, they're on drugs, that's the stigma that goes with that, okay? I ended up on food stamps, the state assistance. I went and filled out paperwork in 2010 to get on Section 8 housing assistance. And it took 6 years to get partial assist while I was going to college. So that was a lifesaver though for me. That was a turning point. Food stamps, Section 8 assist, partial assist, they don't cover the full thing, but they cover portions of it. And then beginning college and educating my mind. I had never gone to college because as a foster youth, I never knew that there was financial aid or that I had the ability to go to college. So it wasn't until my 40s that I realized all of that, and I began starting college and learning how to get the grants and how to get the scholarships. Extreme poverty, extreme low income. I have been in Food Lines Folsom when I lived in Folsom. I have been, the assistance there was clothing closets and once a month help with boxes of food that the local Olive Garden and Trader Joe's would donate foods and things to help people in need. Fabulous. I was so grateful for their assistance. And, to come from this background, so I have come from dysfunction, I have come from abuse, I have come from poverty. And I know what it is to be in that, and it is a very, very humbling experience to be taken off my successful plateau and plummeted down to the ground to build up again. So to come from that, and it took me, this is over 13 years now, and I'm going to tell you how hard this hit me, the common thread that heads through all of these things is betrayal and abandonment. And I withdrew from life. I withdrew from relationships. And many of you that are friends on Facebook and what have you, Wendy, Kristen, Marcella, many of you, Marcella, a lot of people want to know why I withdrew. And I liken it to a caterpillar cocooning. Trying to figure out how to begin to heal myself, how to move forward, how to not having family, not having help, not knowing what to do. I began to self-medicate to begin to heal myself. Dreaming boards on the refrigerator, sayings on the mirrors, keeping myself positive. If you believe, you can achieve. Taking and making my affirmation statements. Putting that in front of me at all the time. I am an architect of my life. I build its foundation. I choose its contents, and my ability to conquer my challenge is limitless. My potential to succeed is infinite. So living life a new way, positive, embracing life. All of these are just words until you put it into action. And yes, I had it in front of me, but I wasn't shifting my perspectives and my paradigms. I wasn't able to get behind those blocks and figure out what the heck was going on with my life. And, I began gaining weight. After all of these things, it wasn't that I have a man issue or a man trust issue. It was because I was affected to the very core of my being by the abandonment and the different things that had gone on. And I had given 100%. And being the dutiful wife and living life according to Bible principle, and my husband is to be the head of my household, and I am to respecting that he was the head, and that I live by my core beliefs, and I believe wholeheartedly that all of my life and everything in business and life should be integrity and honesty, and taking that as my core and moving forward. And I felt betrayed. So I have been celibate for over 13 years. Purposeful intent. How could I I had trouble trusting. How could I allow someone else to be in my life when I didn't know who I was? I didn't know how to trust. I felt, I didn't have any answers to my questions. Was I not good enough? I love sex, so was I not good enough in bed? What were the issues? And I never got my answers. So as I withdrew because the betrayal, the abandonment, the rejection, pure and simply the rejection. And because I had never dealt with all of these other issues, it all compounded. So I began to put on weight. And at that point, so when I hit 170, that's classified, this is after my pregnancy with my son. And my husband had walked when I was 4 months. And I did these professional pictures so that I could have something positive to reflect back on as it being something positive in my life, and having good feelings about it. I used to cry myself to sleep every night, and I have a fabulous son, Jonathan. This is when he was 4 years old. He's now 12. I am working on, I want to share as I go through and talk about all of this. All the videos I'll do from here on out will be discussing the different issues, my failures, my successes, the process of healing, the process of building a business and coming up from the ash, if you will, from rock bottom and coming back up and stronger than before, and where I was classified as successful before by many, I want to soar like the eagle. I want to take it beyond. And I have a dream, a mission, if you will, to where I learned a lot by losing everything, that it's not about materialism. I want a quality of life, but I also want people around me to have a quality of life and to want to be able to help others. I have worked on giving of myself, so volunteering in schools, helping that way, and then when there is, I'm fortunate now where I'm no longer living in an apartment. We have upgraded and out of that and now into a duplex, 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom duplex. So this has been a long, hard road to recovery and building back up. Nice to have my own washer, dryer, refrigerator again out of the apartment, a garage and yard space to build a garden. When you're creative and you work with your hands and you can visualize and see things, so this dreaming aspect of seeing this vision and what I want and going after it and chasing it is, I've done it before in other businesses, and so this is easy to project for me. What held me down was all of the issues of not feeling worthy, not feeling I deserved because of all of the rejection. All these affirmation statements, all of this is well and good until I believe it doesn't happen. Until I take the actions, it doesn't happen. So I began, what is the turning point for me? I began what's called a Dream Builders program. And this is a 12-week program, and it is a client turned friend back in 2007. And she became my best friend, my confidant. Growing up in foster home, not having family, so she is my sister. I chose her as my sister, and she feels that eloquently. She is a nutritionist. She's a painter. She's loves life, and she believes in me when I didn't believe in myself. So she is, she's trying to help me with the weight issue. So 170 classified as obese. I am now 200 pounds, and we've been working on this for years, but we couldn't, eating healthy and nutrition and eating organic and raw foods and changing to real foods and not processed foods. I've gone through all of this, and I used to love Starbucks, coming out of the mountain every day, whereas we were building up in Grass Valley, and my coffee fix all the way out of the mountain driving down to work. So it's emotional. Everything else is in place other than the exercise. I do not exercise as much as I need to, and that it needs to increase. It is emotional issues. And so Going through this Dream Builder program with Mary Morrissey, this is a recommendation or referral for any of you going through similar situations that I have gone through. This is helping me rebuild my life. Some of the key aspects, this is a 12-week program, and I love the fact that she is very spiritual, and the integrity is there. So anyone that I refer to you is going to have the same core principles as me, and they align with me as far as core principles of integrity and quality and what they bring to the table. This referral is because of, this is one of my major turning points. Going through and discussing, the fact I never had intention to take the SCP logo and launch into another business. I went through the academic process and received my AA in social and behavioral sciences. I received my BA in liberal studies and a concentration in natural sciences and a biological science minor. And so as I get ready for graduate school now, I had no intention of launching this company and no intention of utilizing the CP logo that I paid $3,500 for way back when just to design it in 1987. So when going through the dream building and you're thinking, what do you want your life to be? Don't think about how. What do you want for your life? And yes, it allowed me, it gave me hope. It allowed me to dream. It allowed me to have that hope, to think of what I would really like for my life and my son and what the quality of life that I was after and how was I going to achieve that. And then I just made the decision and took action on it that I decided to take that logo and launch Conversion Perspectives by Valenti Associates. And conversion is the metamorphosis process. I've labeled to you or stated that the metamorphosis is like the caterpillar cocooning and waiting to emerge as a healthy, whole, uninhibited, radiant, spectacular, glorious butterfly. And so where I feel I'm at in my process is that I am emerging. I'm gaining my voice. I'm gaining my confidence, my building of a business, and after the education process and educating the mind and finding mentors to build myself up and turning into people like Darren Hardy, mentorship, and Mary Morrissey, Bob Proctor. And Bob Proctor, if you ever listen to this, I look to him as a father figure I never had. That positive influence, the guiding light. Learning about, from Mary and Bob, learning about the fear to utilize as a stepping stone and don't let it cripple you, and the shift paradigms and how to shift them and those thought processes and perspectives. What is it to in the universal, the law of attraction and law of polarity. These are things that gaining that insight and being able to take it in and resonate with it and being able to transform myself. So these are things that I will be sharing, and I'm an organized freak. Everything in my business and my website, when I had it before, was designed and categorized. Things in my closets are all color coordinated, black, blue, brown, and what have you. My cabinet in my kitchenry, as far as spices, is Hispanic and Mediterranean. So that's how I am. So when I do the videos, this video right here, my intro for you, it will be a series of one of two or one of three. And then I will categorize each video on top. It'll either be labeled a health and wellness and then a hyphen and tell exactly what it's about, or it will be business, hyphen and tell exactly what it's about, or for finishing. The easiest videos to start with is going to be going to the walls and doing faux finishing for you and showing you samples of that. Where I used to do custom cabinetry and take yellow oak and transform them to mahogany and different things. I've got tons of photos, custom cabinetry, before and afters. I've done, oh my gosh, I've had tremendous fun. Going in and doing custom cabinetry in a garage in Fremont and metallic finish, doing a mural in the garage, and columns, cabinetry. Oh, one of my fun jobs, absolute fun, was the section here over the bed did not exist. We hired a faux finisher, not a faux finisher, a drywaller to come in and create this Moroccan arch for us. This is for a client who loves to travel, and then to do, you know, a lime wash on the walls and to do this with her custom finishes. So I have had tremendous fun. A lot more pictures I'll show you down the road. It'll be under Faux Finishes and it'll be categorized. And so health and wellness, business, and faux finishing. So there'll be cooking, there'll be all kind of artsy stuff, and then everything that I've learned to build me up and get me ready to launch the company and what that process has been. So I will share all of these things with you. So this is video 1 of 2. And then this was my turning point to get me out of the 13-year of just stagnation while I was going to school. I've been a full-time college student, single mom, and I am building myself up. So do I state that I am a success to you? I am someone who was successful, built several companies, lost everything, plummeted to the bottom, rock bottom, and to go all the way down to the level of being on food stamps and partial Section 8 assistance, to coming away from, you know, owning homes and then plummeting down to apartments and then coming back up. So finally getting out of the apartments, and I'm on my upward stride. And sharing all of this because there are going to be, I didn't feel that I had something to share that it would be of value. It was others that instilled in me that I began helping, you know, college students in college about how to get the scholarships, how to get the grants, how to write those essays, how to study and prepare for the exams. I just started excelling, especially in science, and you know, I struggled in math. That's my challenge. But to overcome all of that, so be able to coach other college students and guide them, to be able to be responsible for young students of diversity that are minorities, and coaching them to come from high school and talking with them, getting them to do their FAFSA and to do those scholarships and to enroll in college. So I feel very proud to be responsible for getting many students to college. To help them to understand that academics is their vehicle to get out of poverty and move forward by educating their mind. And so those successes and what I've been through, I will end this video now stating it's very nice to be able to introduce myself to you. And in the second part of this, I will discuss a bit more. Thank you.